Welcome to DC to Be Revolution, helping chiropractic students think big in order to live large. I'm your host, Noah Volz, and today I'm here with Dr. Brandie Nemchenko. Did I pronounce your name right? I forgot to ask. She started the King of Prussia Wellness Center in 2002. And you've also developed a program, I guess, in 2006 that you're calling Bloom. That's a specialized program for pregnancy, applying the techniques used for high-level athletes to this specific population. So really want to dig into all of that, and also to your appearance at the Forward Thinking Chiropractic Alliance Symposium. But thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Noah. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So just to start, what are you planning to share with all those who are coming to Kansas City for the symposium in June?
So I'm speaking twice at the symposium. So the first day, I'm going to be speaking about how to ethically and in an evidence-based way do pregnancy and pediatrics. So when I first started in practice, I sort of felt like a fish out of water because my husband was a medical doctor and I've been a paramedic. So we come from a very medical background. And when I got out of school, most of my mentors or my instructors were very vitalistic. And I really resonated with a use for medicine and also for chiropractic. So most of the ways that I've developed my practice, as I thought I couldn't practice because everybody I looked to sort of subscribed, which is awesome for them, with a very natural lifestyle. And I've had 2 kids with 2 epidurals, 2 inductions. So just servicing that population. So what I found a niche with my practice. So basically I had a 50% athlete practice, 50% pregnancy. That's just how it rolled. And so basically I almost lost my daughter just because chiropractic is a very physical job. First daughter I had before chiropractic school, but it was a very physical job. So I couldn't practice and I can only see pregnant patients. And I really saw that if you get hurt while you're pregnant, it really messes with your mind and it makes you feel weak. And I really wanted to create a program, and I really saw a niche with not nerve interference or just stuff that didn't resonate with me. What resonated with me is I want to work and I want to take care of my kids and I want to be functionally able to do the things that I want to do. And there's such a niche for that. So that's why I created Bloom, because a lot of my patients would say, oh, I'll see you after I'm done being pregnant, because I was told it's not safe to see a chiropractor. And I myself was hit head on with my first daughter at 9 months pregnant. And so basically they literally told me, like, you can't see a chiropractor because it's dangerous. So they let me sit in severe pain, sleeping in a recliner for the last part of my pregnancy. So both of my daughters have sort of led me to what I'm doing, even though I'm not crunchy granola. And there's nothing wrong with being crunchy granola, but I'm so mainstream. So my niche really works for me, and it resonates with a lot of women who they don't want to hear about lifestyle choices. They just want to be functional. So I just took the things that were safe for pregnancy and sort of extrapolated it, took the best things to get a high-level sports athlete back on the field and applied that to pregnancy so that they could get back to work and taking care of their kids. So I'll be speaking about that. I'll speak a little bit about pregnancy in terms of after they have the baby. So a lot of moms groups will talk about how awesome I am, and like they talk about everything, and that's awesome, and I love that. But I'm very shy, so it's always like, I see them talking about me, but they refer in their kids, and they'll call and they'll say like, hey, my kid has colic, or my kid has ear infections. How do you actually bring them in and meet with them and sort of find out what level they're at in terms of what I could serve them, and explain chiropractic in a way where you still can possibly treat that child if you feel like there's a need to treat the child, if there's evidence-based and objective findings to treat the child, One of the things I talked about in my teaser video is I've been a reviewer for 13 years, and I did that to protect our practice. I had never had an intention of actually reviewing people, but I've tried to retire a couple times where it's like my practice is so busy I really can't do this, but where I specialize with is a lot with kids. And as I said in my teaser, a lot of the places I work with, I can tell that the adjuster thinks that kids don't deserve chiropractic or they don't need chiropractic, and their necks structurally from a very objective way are not built like an adult's and don't have the infrastructure to handle an impact. So the fact that kids don't need chiropractic care after a car accident as an absolute is not a thing. Conversely, I see with people that get kids in, it's just hysterical, the reviews that I do, where they may see a kid came in with 10 out of 10 pain, right? And the kid, the way that the note reads, the kid has 10 out of 10 pain and they can't, you know, they have all these adult-like things that they put in their notes that there's no way ethically a 2-year-old would complain of 6 out of 10 pain, or the kid has pain down their arm and they won't send them out for testing. And the biggest thing I see is these mills, so to speak, the PI mills will rack up a giant bill with a kid, so they'll adjust 3-4 regions. They'll do stim on a kid, which is not indicated at their age. And the best is when they have them do 4 units of therapeutic exercise when they're 3. And I'm sort of like, when I have to call them and say, like, how did you do that as a parent? Like, did they run around the office a lot, or like, how did you like corral them like trying to herd cats? You know, like how did you get them to focus for 4 units of exercise? So there's 2 ends of the spectrum, and I try to meet in the middle of like, what objective findings can you do? If you have a baby that's in a car accident, how do you substantiate that to a reviewer? Because they can't complain of 10 out of 10 pain. So what things do you look for as a parent or as a reviewer that says like, hey, they're not sleeping like they did. Every time I put them in the car seat, they hurt, or they start crying, and they're miserable, and they can't turn their head. Those are objectifiable things that you can monitor. You can fight any insurance company and say, look, like, they have functional deficits. I really need to address those. So that's the first day. Talked a lot about that. The second day is how to build a kick-ass practice as a woman. And in my teaser, I laughed about that because I don't think gender has anything to do with your ability to build a practice, because I firmly believe that guys have PMS just like girls. Guys have their moments. They have menopause. So any hormonal differences that we have, I can be as tough as anybody. I've been a paramedic for since 1995. So like I can handle myself. I'm the mama bear of that practice. So like I'm the one that handles the big situations in terms of there's turmoil or issues, or like I have no problem with handling myself with that. So, but there's intrinsic stuff that's different with a woman. As I explained to you before we started this, I've always owned the practice. Our Comcast bill is in my husband's name. Our bank account was in my husband's name. Our ChiroTouch agreement is in my husband's name. My husband's never owned the practice. So you just sort of smile and you're like, yeah, it's 2017 and this stuff happens. My favorite story to tell is we have a giant office. So we have a 5,000 square feet office. And I'm like a mama bear. So my ears are always like tuned to what's happening in the office. So there's like a certain tone that sales professionals will have when they come into the office. And I'll walk up to them, like in between patients, I'll walk up because I really don't want my front desk dealing with that. And I'll say, hey, can I help you? And they're like, I'm here to meet with the boss. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, I'm going to wait for the boss. I was like, is there anything I can help you with? Nope, I'm going to wait for the boss. Okay. So then I go back in my office and just, sit in there for a little bit or take care of a patient. And then my front desk will call me out and I'll walk across the office. And they're like, that's the boss. And they're like, can I meet with her? It's like, nope. I interviewed an associate recently. I only work Tuesdays and Thursdays now so that I can run the practice. I just switched back. And I specifically brought him in on a day that I'm not working so I could talk to him and spend time with him. So I never sit still. So I'm in my office like doing something. And after 45 minutes, he comes in and he's like, I have totally wasted my afternoon. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, I just found that you're the boss. And I was like, okay, I'm the boss. What difference is, I mean, I've been married to the guy you were talking to for 21 years after he didn't, first he didn't take my associate, which is a big no-no because he's like my son. I've known him since he was 11. So any team member, they have to show respect for my team because we're all a team. But he was mad that he wasted his time because he assumed, and I said, it's not my problem, he assumed that my husband was. It was just funny. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that just makes you go, like, there are some differences in running the practice. So in my teaser, I talk about other things with being a parent and having your kids in the office and how do you handle that. How do you handle when your kid calls and you're in the middle of like high volume time and they want to know where the mac and cheese is, or do you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, or events, like how do you handle your marketing events? We used to do historically, before we could afford practice representatives, we would do it ourselves. So you'd spend like 60 hours in the office and then you would go do a talk, or you would go do a lunch and learn, or drop some stuff off. I mean, it was all you. So how do you handle that with your kids? How do you include your kids? For me, it turned out really good because my daughter is now at Ithaca College and she loves business, and she knows how to talk to people because she hung out her whole life. She knows how to sell stuff. She used to sell pillows. Like that was her thing. Is she was a master pillow seller. Money back guarantee. So how do you do that? Like how do you really run a professional practice and be a good mom or a good dad? So again, it has nothing to do with gender. It's like, as a parent, like, how do you run this? So I will be touching on, because it's a buzzword of like women practices, because it is rare to have a large women-owned practice. Typically it's the guy that owns the practice and then the wife is the manager and they're like a power couple. I don't have that. My husband just wants to be a doctor, and that's cool. And it's whatever's good for you. Do you know what I'm saying? So how do you find that balance? If you're married to your partner, like how do you split the job duties? And we found out late in practice that like you should have one boss. Like even though my husband wasn't the owner, he would sort of insert himself as, oh, I'm the husband, so I'm gonna give my opinion, and then I'm laying down the law on one thing and he's totally telling people to do a different thing. So we have a very clear chain of command now. Because before it's like, I don't want to embarrass my husband and say, I'm the boss, because it's sort of like, oh, I want power. Do you know what I'm saying? So for a lot of years, I hid that fact that I owned the thing, and we owned it together, and we did everything, and we didn't. So, you know, it's cool. I'm not big into power, but when you start having 15, 16, 17 employees, you need a chief. Do you know what I'm saying? You need to know, like, I'm the boss. Yeah, you said that, but who signed your checks? So I hope to use humor with that, and I hope people learn a lot about that, because there's a lot of you guys who are students who met in school and get married. I didn't meet my husband in school. We met at a hospital prior to getting into chiropractic, and as I said, we worked in a hospital. We're very medical, so getting into chiropractic, people thought we lost our minds because we quit our jobs, really good jobs at a hospital, gave up everything, moved to Kansas City, to Cleveland, which is where we're going to be speaking. And now they're like, damn, that paid off. But there was a number of years where it's like, oh, did you make the right decision? And so I'll be talking about all of that. And it definitely was a struggle, but it was totally worth it. So that's the two things I'm talking about. I'll probably be catcalling from the audience with Greg's talk about reviews. I'm so passionate about like empowering chiropractors, because like on the calls a lot of time you're not really supposed to insert your opinion about, you can't say, hey, I'm going to find for you this way. But a lot of times if I review somebody for the 5th time, I'm like, dude, like it's a lot of times it's a compliance issue. I'll be like, dude, like write it in your notes, like just write down why they're non-compliant. So I hope to be some input. I won't steal Greg's thunder, but I'm very passionate about educating chiropractors so they don't make the same pitfalls that I did.
Yeah, and that's really why I wanted to have you on the show, because, you know, this channel is really devoted to helping students not make the mistakes that have been made in the past. And, you know, one thing that you mentioned that I think is is I really applaud your candidness and your honesty, because the fact that you have to say in your presentation that you are a woman business owner is, you know, it's just not acceptable in terms of the profession as a whole. like I mean, you know, there.
Whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you almost have to be like I think that like even in talking when you're saying like, hey, you hope that students avoid the struggle, like part of that is like you get to a point you're like, I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? Like okay, say what you want, or like in terms of having struggles, like some of that is worth it to build to the point where you're just like, I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? So it takes many years to get that wisdom to be like you know, where you get knocked down enough times, but it's certainly worth it. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of lessons, but the big soul robbing things I hope to avert people from, and that's why I'm very candid on the board about my stuff, because we've been to the bottom, and like we've built back up, and I'm very, very proud of that. Like we hung on with our nails when we should have quit. We were too stupid to quit. We didn't know what we were doing. And school doesn't prepare you for business, but at the same time, there's a lot you can do on your own instead of just being like, oh my God, I quit, or this is horrible. There's a lot of resources. And I think that this board, I applaud Bobby, because for a number of years, there was nobody to grab onto to be like, damn, they're sane. Do you know what I'm saying? Or like they speak sense, where it's like, am I the only one that doesn't have $1 million house, but keeps people for a year and makes them bring their spouse? And do you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't ethically do certain things. And for a number of years with chiropractic, it felt like I'm very stubborn, so I refused to sell my soul. And I would never do something that I felt like would compromise. Like my ethics are extremely important to me, my legality and my self-worth as a person. I'm not willing to sell that out to make a buck. So the fact that we've thrived, I'm very proud of that, because I want to prove that you don't have to be a mill, and you don't have to shice people, and you can be objective and evidence-based and still be a success. Is it hard? It's 10 times harder to do it that way, but damn it, you can sleep at night. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what it boils down to. So there's certain things that I was doing that I was in my own way with stuff. There's certain things like marketing where I wouldn't lower myself to go do something. Do you know what I'm saying? Or my patients will never do this. You don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? As long as it's not violating ethics or legality or my self-worth, then I'm cool with it. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the part of the stuff that I would like other students to avoid. I gave a talk up at Ithaca College to their PT students, and they had the same struggles. They don't have them as much as ours. And one of the things I've alluded, sorry to go off track, but in our office, Dr. Eric Brennan is on the board too. He's my associate. We're passionate about being open about a profession and saying this is the best that it can be, right? It may not be for you. You may not have the emotional fortitude to do this. It's tough. But for those crazy enough to embark on that mission, like it's so worth it, because the PTs that I see that are it's a different mindset. They're jealous of what we do. And I don't think you realize that. I employed a massage therapist, or a PT who wanted to be my massage therapist. So she just wanted to do glides. And I'm sort of like, when I'm interviewing, I'm like, why the hell do you want to be here? And like, okay. And, you know, so I wasn't billing under a PT, but she just was working as a massage therapist. And she finally quit, like, because she was pissed off that, like, we can treat whatever we want. So if somebody comes in with low back pain and 3 visits in, now their foot starts to hurt or the neck, I don't have to go back to the doctor and get another order. I don't need to do like this extensive, like I have to do an evaluation and put them on a treatment plan, but it's no big deal. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So we can do nutrition if we want to. We can do chiropractic if we want to. We can do a rehab focused practice. They're stuck with PT. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe they can do pelvic floor stuff and like focus on different stuff like that. But we have it so freaking good. There's positives in what we do. But you just have to make sense in a business sense what you're doing. You can be passionate about stuff, but it still needs to pay the bills. And as I said on the board the other day, like what profession can you adjust somebody in 2 minutes? And a lot of people are like, oh God, that's a mill. But if you think about it, you adjust your family member that in that time, you adjust your staff members in that time, like all the rest of the stuff is fluff. Where do you make $50 adjusting somebody for 2 minutes? Like, it's just insane. Where that leads into where I don't want to become a tour is, okay, let's step back and let's make sure that my philosophy, sorry to go off track, my philosophy is to dig stuff out. This is why I'm different from physical therapy. We dig stuff out so we get like all the trigger points out as much as we can, except for the calcification, so that the muscles move well, we get your bones moving, and then we strengthen on top of good. And part of the thing that I delineate us between physical therapy is we go in and sort of, instead of just like strengthening on top of a problem, we go in and dig it out, make sure it's functional and moving and as flexible as it can, because motion is life, and then we strengthen on top of it. So as long as you're not, again, selling out and you can maintain that philosophy, that whatever your philosophy is, you're cool. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's a service to a patient. So my time and what I need to do is 2 minutes. And before I used to spend 45 minutes with a patient because I was giving them all those things. But as you get bigger, you can hire other people who are better at it than you, which is hard to admit. You find similar personalities with similar skill sets, or people that exceed your skill sets, and you can duplicate yourself, and the patient has an experience with your philosophy, with people that are chosen by you, that are experts in what they do, so they're getting a well-rounded experience, but it's just not with you. Do you know what I'm saying? They're still getting you, so to speak, but they're not getting you because you're the most expensive thing in your office. So I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but I don't know how we got there. But it's just, I'm very passionate about teaching chiropractors how to become profitable, you know, and how to have systems, which I'm not, you can tell I'm not on a system because I totally inverted your question and like went off track, but there's the ADD going. But you know, you have to make sure that you have systems with your business. So anything.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about those systems. You know, you were really great about talking about, you know, not selling your soul, because I think a lot of people get into chiropractic. They think they're going to make a ton of money. There's very specific things that you can do to ensure that you make a lot of money. And for some people, they're okay with that. And for other people, they feel out of integrity doing that. And so I really liked how you kind of talked about your specific process and what was in integrity for you in terms of the type of care. And you brought up something that I hadn't heard before, which I think is really, really beautiful, is you developed this kind of philosophy of how to care for the patient, and then created a community of practitioners around you that could implement that philosophy. And you know, of course, that philosophy that you created was born out of the struggles that you had in practice and all the different techniques and modalities and things that you tried that you found didn't work until you found something that really worked. And then you were able to share that with the people in your office so that they could experience the benefit of getting people well, just like you were before. So, you know, as a student, of course, like I want to create a system like that or be a part of a system like that. What do you feel like are the kind of the key values or the key tools and skills that can create that system or to be a part of that system?
I think it's a critical. My associate is so freaking awesome, and I don't know if it's because like I've known him since he was a teenager. I sort of take. He used to hang out in our office like every summer, and he's like, "What do we need to know?" And I'm like, "Dude, you need to know ribs, and you need to know pregnancy." And at first, he was like, "Oh, I don't know about pregnancy," but like, he rocks some ribs. So like, it's so cool to be employed by somebody that's like. I learned from him. Like I've been out a lot. I'm an old dog. So I've been out since 2002. So like when he came out, he just was so damn good. And it was like, I learned from him. Like even as a boss, there's things I've learned from Dr. Eric because like he's very different from me, but in the same way, our practice, and I've tried to capture this when I'm trying to hire because we went through 11 applicants before we chose the person that we're going to be hiring in the spring. There's just a fit. And I've tried to teach my team, and they really get there's a fit. There's a couple things, and I hope not to digress, but I want somebody on my team that is like, if you're at a party, they're the ones in the kitchen helping you clean up at the end. They're not booking out. They're not looking at their watch and like, oh, I gotta go. Like, they're the ones that are like helping you, and that goes the same way. Like, I'm washing dishes. Like, it's a team. So there is no I in my office. Like, as much as I own that office, I am the boss, and that's a struggle because I want us all to be on an equal. Like, I consider my team as important, and I think that they're as important as us, because if they mess up, it can cost us business, and conversely, they can impact our patients and help our patients almost as much as us. So if they're having a crappy day, somebody can totally turn somebody's life around. And for those of you who are struggling with chiropractic, who are in practice, and you say, I don't know if this is something that I wanted to do. For me, one of my values is to help people. You know what I'm saying? And I love helping people, and I don't care how I do it. Like, if you guys ask me for stuff, I want to help people. I want to help my team. I want people in my team that can do that for my patients and go above and beyond and treat them as if they're a family member. And that may mean sometimes we had a situation a month ago where I had a patient with low back pain, and she had lost a little bit of weight, and there was something in the back of my head that's like, this just doesn't seem right. As a reviewer, like, her findings weren't matching her pain level, and she didn't look good. And she came in and she said, my CT was denied. I looked at her and said, this shit's gonna stop. Like, I literally said, so maybe people don't cuss, but she was sick of it. And I got on the phone and I got the CT approved, and I forced it through. It got done. And unfortunately, she was full of cancer, which is awful, but that's what I want somebody to do for my mom. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I want something to do for my sister. My entire team takes caring to another level. It's not like, oh, we'll get to it, or we'll talk about that at your next re-exam. There's times where you need to be able to do superhuman things for your patients and go above and beyond, and that's what our practice is about. We all help each other. The other thing that's really, really important with our practice, and I reiterated this a lot to our patients, I don't care how you get better. I really don't care. I don't care if it's Dr. Eric. I don't care if it's Dr. Arthur. None of us care. We care that our office is the one that helped you. Like, there's no ego. Dr. Eric's not better than me. I'm not better than Dr. Eric. We all have special gifts. And although we have the same baseline philosophy, which is very structural and there's just this underlying, we love our patients and we really care about our patients. And if we can't care about you, we can't take care of you. So we attract very happy, caring, loving patients. A couple of years ago, we took over a space from another chiropractor who had failed in practice, and I could spot his patients when they walked in the door. And it wasn't an economic thing, and there was just an energy thing, and I'm not getting with you on an objective board. But our patients are just freaking awesome. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what we attract. And the associate that we're bringing in has that same, like, they're just alive, and they're caring, and they love people, and they love helping people, and they don't care how that happens. They just want to make I find people jobs. I hook people up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to make their life better. And if I have an opportunity to do that, I'm a connector. And I'll connect them to their best self and their best life that I can help them get. I think that's what my practice does. They like to helping people.
Yeah, and that, you talked about how proactive you are and how you attract associates and other staff members who have that same level of proactiveness to really, create the best possible outcomes, whether that's, in the lives of your patients or in the life of anybody that you come into contact with throughout your day-to-day. And, in a way, it's like a form of marketing, because it then attracts more people into your practice and more of that kind of high energy people who are responsible, who are committed to taking the steps that are necessary for them to get well. And it's not passive care in that same way, where they're just showing up and they think their appointment is the whole whole shebang. It's all the things that happen outside of the appointment and the mindset and everything else that you're educating and coaching those patients, on just through your own energy, even though that's a kind of a woo-woo term, but just,
we're going off the rails. We're going to get a GIF on this one. But it's important to state, like, I think my patients trust that, like, our big tagline is like, we have such a medical background and we're going to be rebranding in the spring to sort of reflect that background. But if you're not ours, we're going to get you who will take care of you. And it's not like, oh, maybe you should see a neurologist, or maybe you should, like, we are like concierge care, where it's like, we're going to make that call because we've made relationships. First 13 years of my practice, we built these relationships with other doctors. So I can call up, there's an orthopedic, I'll text him and be like, dude, you need to get my patient in. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that orthopedic is the same philosophy and the same, like, level of caring. And I won't refer to somebody that's a jerk. So I built this relationships over the years. You build this safety net for your patients. It's almost like BNI or one of those. It's like you build this safety village of, like, I'm going to refer you to somebody and I know they're going to take care of you. And I know when you're done, you're going to trust me because I let you go and I told you where to go and I found you the best person. You're going to love them and then you're going to come back. Do you know what I'm saying? So it creates that. It's not treating people by tricking them, or you got to let them go. If they're not yours, they'll trust you if you're like, hey, this is not mine, or this is not the best place for you right now, but I'm going to get you, but they'll be back. Or they'll be like, they couldn't help me, but they got me to where you got to go there. Like, that's what people say about my practice. You've got to go there. Like, that place is like unreal. You have to, that's the place you got to go. If you have something that somebody can't figure out, or that's a reputation that you want to build with the community.
Yeah, and I really like this concept of concierge care, where, how many medical professionals do you hear talking about them not taking no for an answer, pushing until their patient gets the care that they need? Yep. That's a very foreign concept in the medical healthcare world. And so to have to be a part of a practice where the level of care for that particular patient is so high that you won't take no for an answer, that you do push when push comes to shove, is really remarkable.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, especially for a disc patient, like, I'll call up the Express Med and say, this guy needs Solumedrol. Like, I'm not asking for an addictive drug. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm asking for a steroid. And if that patient has a hot disc, they're going to respond. Will they respond with chiropractic care? And do they need chiropractic care? Absolutely. But I don't want to send them into a weekend with 9 out of 10 pain. I think delineating, like, we're not against drugs, we're against lifestyle drugs, because if there's a way you can change it with your lifestyle, you should change it. If you're in an acute situation, damn it, I'm going to take an Advil. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to bite a bullet if I'm in 9 out of 10 pain and say, I hope my energy shifts and somebody fixes my innate. Like, I need an Advil, and that, like, just a function to go to work. Is that a solution to my problem? No. Do you know what I'm saying? But for one-time things, are there side effects? Sure. But in that moment between not sleeping for 3 days because you've been in 9 out of 10 pain and taking a steroid, I'm going to take a steroid. I don't know about you, but just having that flexibility to be like, we're not the end-all be-all. Are we damn good at what we do? Yes. Can we help people? Yes. Can we help people with weird stuff that we can't even explain? Yes, and it's freaking awesome. But if that patient needs something else, I would be remiss if I didn't give them what I could connect them with. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about giving the patient about what they need, but if they need it and there's a solution that you know that is outside of you and you can get it, they're going to love you for that, because you went above and beyond. It's not like, oh, we're just selling you one-hour package of care, and if you stick to it, you're going to feel better soon. They're going to the weekend, they didn't sleep the whole weekend, they can't take care of their kids, they're a miserable jerk, and now their wife hates them. Like, it's better just to, like, call in a team player of this net that you sort of created. And then a lot of times the doctor would be like, are you a freaking chiropractor? Like, why the hell are you calling me for drugs? And I'm like, because the patient needs them. They're like, this is such a foreign concept. Like, I have the OBs that I work with, they literally pull me aside. They're like, the reason we work with you is because you don't discuss vaccines with any of our patients. We've asked our patients if you did. It's not a topic that's discussed in our office. And it's not because vaccines aren't important. It's a parental issue. It's not a chiropractic. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of trouble from saying this on tape. I don't think it belongs. It's not our choice to make, because if something happens to that kid, you're going to feel awful either way. So even if a patient says to me, Dr. Brandie, what do you do? I'm not telling them what I did, because I don't even want that in their headspace of, oh, she did that, that's okay. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's a thing that I'm going to talk about during my pediatric thing is I really believe, like, I think you should give them both sides. So I usually give them the CDC and I give them 909 shot, which is as far apart as you can get. And is that the truth? Yes, it is. So I educate them, like, to always look for doctors that don't have absolute. So vaccines don't cause any damage. That's a lie. Vaccines cause autism. That's a lie. Do you know what I'm saying? There's the truth is in between, but that decision's the patient's and their spouse or their partner or whatever. That's not. I would feel horrified if something happened to that kid, that they got pertussis or they got measles or whatever. I have my own personal views as a parent, which nobody knows. And they're very personal to me, but my chiropractor didn't make those decisions. I did, because I'm the one that has to live with it. So I'll be going over that. And I know that's probably not a popular thing if there's people that are very straight, that they think that we should educate people. There's the internet now. Do you know what I'm saying? If you can just point them in two different directions and maybe suggest the Sears book, if they keep pressing you, like, hey, there's a one that's right in between, read that. But you're the one that has to make, and it's a heavy decision. I wrote a book called What You Didn't Expect When You're Expecting, which is coming out in the spring. And it talks about life is really funny, where it sort of gears you up for parenthood, for those decisions. Like you start making decisions for someone else, and it increases in value as they get older, but that's a decision for a parent. And I really am very clear about that in the book, that's not something you should be bullied in from a medical doctor or a chiropractor. I don't believe. I think that you need to make the decision, and if they don't want to accept the risk of having you in the practice, that's a choice. You know what I'm saying? Everything's choices and risks. So sorry to go on that rant, but I'm very passionate about that. So
yeah, no, I really like your approach, and I just wanted to backtrack a little bit to what you said at the beginning of that segment about this idea of long-term drug therapy being a solution when there's other solutions available. I really like what you said about, drugs having their place and being able to use them in certain circumstances. But when the long-term solution for a condition that has other options is to be on drugs for the next 30 years.
Because I used to weigh 260. Like, I was heavy. You know what I'm saying? I was when I was in chiropractic school, I weighed close to 260 pounds. And what actually made me lose weight is I said, I've never seen a fat chiropractor. So that was like a drive of mine. Like, I can't be the only fat chiropractor in the world. So I ended up losing a lot of weight, a ton of weight. But it's hard to be overweight. Like, I sympathize with people, but there is a solution, and food is part of that solution. So again, that's another thing with my practice is I don't talk about nutrition, and a lot of people do. But if I don't have my own if I don't have my stuff straight, that's what the S was for, Noah. If I don't have my stuff straight, I don't feel comfortable counseling someone else when I struggle with that. I go up and down. I don't go that high, but like, I just tell them what I do. Like, this is what I'm doing. If you want to do it, great. Do you know what I'm saying? So, there's so many opportunities in chiropractic if you have your stuff together to counsel other people, especially if you've been there. And I think that connects more with patients of being real. Like, dude, I struggle with the same stuff. I love me some carbs, and I love cereal and bread, and I get it, but it makes you sick. And I think that's the biggest wake-up call. I don't know how old you are, but like, when you realize, like, at my age, like, if I eat a cheesesteak, like, I'm gonna be sick for days. Like, there's a price for everything. So you work with them to make the best choices for their life with their health. So
yeah, and what I'm hearing from you, and I think this is really relevant for students, because I think with so many different techniques and modalities and trainings and tech and all the stuff out there, we can definitely get swept up into trying to learn everything and do everything. You know, and you, through your life experience and, you know, through your kids and the experiences you had there, it almost refined this very unique niche for you, where you became really, really good at something, and almost in a way that like you became really good at the thing that you wish you would have had when you needed care.
And that's why I'm on the board with other chiropractors. Like when I first joined the board, I think people thought I was really cocky because I do have a giant practice now, but I'm very open about how much I struggled. Do you know what I'm saying? And as I said, like I counsel other chiropractors now sometimes that are in a lower spot, because when I was in that lower spot, all I could focus on is I don't want anybody to ever feel like I did. Like it was a really dark time of years. So when I was going through that, I actually annotated it. I'm like, this is what it's almost like a Hansel and Gretel map. Like, this is how I got here. And it wasn't linear. You know what I'm saying? And there are things that, like, such as my weight. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a coach that said to me, do you realize how your weight is related to your practice? And I was sort of like, and her explanation really hit me between the eyes. Like, I was so embarrassed because she said it in front of a group of women. But what she meant is I live my life by the seat of my pants. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm driving past a Chick-fil-A. Oh, it's Spade. Let's stop by. You know what I'm saying? Running your business takes discipline, and it takes a system. You can follow a system, which I'm the least system person because I have ADD and I have executive function disorder, but I compensate really well. So like you can compensate for you can make excuses for your disabilities, or you can compensate for them. And I think it's a gift that I have that. But to the degree that you can create a system with your practice is freedom. I saw it as, oh my God, like I'm going to become a robot and my practice is going to be cookie cutter. And I hate that. It doesn't. It's so freeing to have is there going to be stuff that happens differently? Absolutely. But to the degree that you can systematize your practice and make it lean and make it work the fastest it can, that's the stuff I share on the board. There's so much stuff I share on the board. It cuts like a 4-hour job down to it. That is a superpower I have. But if I could save other people from that, of saying, get a system and work that system, then you can train other people instead of just doing stuff by the seat of your pants. Same with a diet. If it fits in my macros, it's a system. You track your food and you don't wonder why you gained 10 pounds over Christmas. Same thing with your practice, same thing with budget. So like that principle is one of the key principles with running a practice successfully, is to have a system, because then other people can follow your system instead of trying to guess what you're going to do next, which is what most people try to do in my practice outside that system, because I'm always surprised. I did a headstand the other day for a Facebook chat. I'll do anything that's crazy just to mix things up. But systems, if you can find a good mentor as a student, kind of like you were saying, like if you can find somebody that's not just going to use you as a workhorse, I think that's disgusting. Do you need to make a profit on your associate, make money so you can pay them and pay other staff to support them? Absolutely. But should you exploit them and treat them like slaves or like your help? You know, I talked about before, I detest the word staff. I hate that word because it makes me feel like I own them. I don't own them. They're my team, and I handpick them and I train them and they support me. And without them, I would not, like, you take 3 people out of my practice and it's not going to run the same. Do you know what I'm saying? So if they're not there and they're not having a great day, they can totally take out my practice. So embracing that team and embracing a system that, again, having one boss with one vision, with one team, with one system, that's where success is. I talked to somebody over the weekend that was asking me for help, and he's getting an associate. And I said, the best thing that you can do is, here's a roadmap. I've even developed, like, at this level, you hire this person. At this level, you hire this person, because my plan is to have 5 offices in the next 5 years. So if I'm gonna have 5 offices in the next 5 years, I better know how to replicate what I have. And I'm not gonna start an office with 10 people or 17 people. I'm gonna start I'll practice with one person, and when they get to this level, I'm going to hire this, and I'm going to pull these tests away from that person. The whole thing is laid out, and that satisfies me wanting to be 10 years more from where I am now. It makes me happy because it's like what I'm doing today is creating, and that longevity is important because my goal is to hand this off. I'm not terminal, but everybody needs an exit plan. And you got to think, I mean, you guys are just getting out. So like the whole thing's right in front of you. But when you're my age, like you have to start thinking like, what do I want to do this? If my kids don't want it, and I really, really care again about the associates, I care about my associates so much. And when I'm actually doing things, I'm like, he's going to love this, or this is really going to set him in a successful place. And I really keep him in my heart because he gives his heart to our practice, and he's taking care of a lot of patients I've had for years. And I appreciate that because I know they're getting amazing care. So it's a team. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to find an associate that's going to teach you and not just go work. You know, that's not it. Like, as much as I overshare my experiences, I could be a little more close to the vest. I would rather tell them and explain why that's the type of parent I am. And I really want them to understand this is where I'm coming from. So it's not do it my way, and this is why we do it. I tried it that way. This is the results that I got. This is a better way. This may be a better fit for you than it was for me because I can't follow the system. So maybe this is good. Everybody's different. So you really need to find somebody that maybe they don't have a longevity state in mind, but they expect you to stay. They're not going to try to burn you out. And they would pull you aside and say, this is a really cool case. You have to see it. Like when I bring students into we're getting our first preceptor this year, which I'm so excited about. We're going to teach the crap out of him. Like he's going to see stuff, and there's no secrets in our practice. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, because they're going to see it in practice. So you might as well show them stuff. Like we had a billing issue this summer where it was like the whole thing was a disaster. Show them, this is how you would prevent this. This is where I messed up and dropped the ball. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know everything, and I'm still learning 16 years later. Don't expect you're going to get it and be like, beat yourself up like, God, I should have known that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to know everything. But if you have, that's part of the good thing about having an associateship is that if you have a good one, if you have a good mentor, they're going to teach you that stuff. Because I'm not worried that my associate would leave. I would be awfully upset, and I'd be probably devastated. But I want him to be happy. I want any of my team members to be happy. And if he's not happy with me and I can't make him happy, then he should leave. Do you know what I'm saying? I try to keep him very happy, and I want him to stay. So you want somebody that wants you to be there, and they really care about your progress and your growth, and that you succeed. Do you know what I'm saying? I've heard such poor Chris on the board with his, like, it's just those kind of situations give us a bad name.
Yeah, so I know all the students are going to want to follow in your footsteps. I'm sure most of us have ADHD or ADD or, have trouble following a system. So where is the best place for students to learn from you, to connect with you? Where would you like students to go to get more information?
Yeah, so our Facebook page, we're going to be rebranding in May, so you'll see it redirected. But currently we're called King of Prussia Family Wellness Center. We're on Facebook, Instagram. You can connect with myself. It's drbrandie@gmail.com, and it's spelled DRBRANDIE@gmail.com. You can put me on Facebook. I'm always putting on me. Dr. If you want to ask Dr. Eric any questions like about how it work with me, or like we're very open. So our office is open for teaching. That's another thing that we're very big into. So if you want to call the office and you need help with your insurance, or you need help with marketing, or you need help, I'll put you on the phone with the person that does it, that I trained to do it. So I'd love to help other students out. Our office is open. We're 30 minutes west of Philadelphia. Come in and hang out for the day. That's what people did for me. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to do the same for other people. So we have people come in about once a month, and we just open up our office and show them around and just show them the ropes and try to help them through the blocks that they have. So
Yeah, there may be some things wrong with chiropractic, but one thing that I've experienced is chiropractors are generous beyond your wildest dreams. I mean, so many chiropractors are so willing to help, and so thank you for extending your generosity to, you know, to students and, you know, young chiropractors who really want to reach, you know, similar levels of success and learn from you. So this has been a production of DC to B Revolution, helping chiropractic students think big to live large. I'm your host, Noah Volz, and thank you, Dr. Brandie Nemchenko, for being on the show and sharing so much great information.
Thanks, Noah. I hope you enjoyed the journey.
Yeah, no, it's great. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments in the comments section below, reach out to Dr. Brandie, and we'll see you next time.